On to our fifth and final story of the program. More civilian targets in Yemen have been bombed by Saudi jets. The northwestern province of Tai'zz has been hit in the latest airstrikes. Yemeni media say several people, including women and children, were killed when the Saudi jets targeted the city of Saqayn earlier. Civilian areas in Sada and Marib provinces were pounded. Human rights activist William Spring joins us now from London. Mr. Spring, welcome to the program. I'd like to get your perspective on the facts on the ground that the Saudis have continuously targeted civilian areas and civilian populated areas in Yemen with no accountability so far.
Well, this is just a proof of the perfidy of American policy, if you don't mind me saying so. America is, on the one hand, President Obama is condemning ISIL attacks in Paris. Yet at the same time, the Americans back the Saudis in their terrorist war on the Yemen. Now, if there is to be a fight against terrorism, it must be an indivisible fight. Great Russian diplomat Litvinov years ago said peace is indivisible, and the struggle against terrorism is indivisible, because ISIL, for example, is only a product of the Saudi, it's a Saudi instrument for the propagation of Wahhabism throughout the Middle East. And one would think that the Western leaders, particularly Obama, and also the British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond, would actually be against this Saudi aggression in Yemen. Yet Philip Hammond, at the beginning of the aggression, made a statement saying, oh, we back Saudi Arabia entirely in this conflict. Well, this is absolutely immoral for Philip Hammond to say that. It's absolutely disgraceful that the British and the Americans should be supporting KSA, Saudi terrorism against civilian populations, because the countries that are involved, like the Yemen, are countries of which we know nothing, as to use a phrase again from the 1930s. The British regard anywhere beyond Calais as a far distant land. And that's why they didn't bother about Ukraine either, why they allowed the Poroshenko government to keep bombarding the east of Ukraine with many civilian casualties. We've got a similar type of ratio of casualties in the Yemen as there was in the Ukraine. 7,500 civilian casualties, or deaths, I mean, in the Yemen at the moment, which is something like the same type of figure that was in the Ukraine before the Minsk agreement sort of calmed it down a little bit. But there needs to be some consistency from Western leaders. They can stop this terrorism in Western Europe as they can stop the terrorism against the Yemen, but they show no inclination so to do. They know, the Americans know exactly where ISIS and ISIL are based. They are the ones who have supported the growth of ISIL. They've supported the division of Iraq, and they are supporting now, continuing to support this aggression against Yemen, which is, as everyone knows, not a particularly wealthy country, not compared with Saudi Arabia anyway. And I think it's just appalling that the Saudis, who claim to be the leaders of the Islamic world, or purport so to be, by their titles like custodian of the holy mosques, this sort of thing, that the Saudis seem to be quite unfit for this role, because they are engaged in ideological, anti-fraternal struggle against the Yemenis, who are their close neighbours. And I think it's wicked.
Okay, thank you very much. Human rights activist William Spring joining us from the British capital, London.